everybody. This week I thought I would give you a studio tour. I do warn you, it's very messy down here. We started moving tables around earlier in the year to make it work a little better, so when Brian and I are both down here at the same time, we're not so cramped. But I've never finished putting things back in place, so it's a mess right now. Hopefully next year I can work on finishing the studio reorg and putting everything in its place. But I thought, what the heck, I'll go ahead and walk you around a little bit. And if you see any tools in here that you'd like me to demonstrate next year, just let me know in the comments. I'd be more than happy to show you and share any tools that I have. Let's start with my workbench. Pull the chair back. It's a antique watchmaker's bench that I found, maybe 5 years ago. I'm loving it. I like something with a little character. But I've got a bench pin, and Brian and I just cut these out ourselves each time we need a new one. C-clamp. Nothing crazy. And you've seen before in a video where I took a drawer and turned it into my holder for pliers. And so this is my, let's pan out a little bit here. There we go. So my bench where I sit, and then just to the right of me I have my soldering table. And it's at standing height, so I can just come over here and stand. Got a window up there. It's like my only window down here. I am in a basement. But that's a nice safe place for having gas and torch. And thanks to Jet being my little studio mate down here, this table got cleaned up this year. And I work with an acetylene air torch. But I'm thinking maybe next year, I have an old oxyacetylene back here, but it needs new regulators and fresh hoses. So I'm thinking I might get that going again next year. So that's my two main workstations. And I have them right next to each other. And then on the other side of me is Brian's desk. Let's come over here, and you can see it's a mess. It's just a little walkway through everywhere here. But this is Brian's bench. And he does a lot of engraving. So maybe next year we can get him to do a few engraving videos. I think that'd be fun. Microscope. I'll just do a little pan here of all his tools and fun stuff. I've been working over here a little bit, so that's probably why it's extra messy. It's because of me. Sorry, Brian. So here's a view from Brian's area. You can see more of the whole space we have down here in the basement. I'll put up that nice pegboard, and I still haven't gotten that organized yet. Another great vintage find. I think it came out of a hardware store. That's really cool. Little skeleton. I like to keep some little fun things down here for inspiration. Giant bat! Ah! Let's move these chairs. Just street signs, all kinds of materials that we could work with. So we've got the buffing machine back here. Got a jewel tool. I will definitely demonstrate that for you next year. I love that. And if you have limited space in your studio, highly recommend the jewel tool. Again, we'll show that in more detail next year though. And when Jet comes down here, this is where he likes to hang out. Here's his little bed. He's taking over the photo booth. Got tumbling over here and ultrasonic. Love this belt sander. We'll do a demo on that next year too. Got cutting over here. A Rockwell tester that we picked up in, oh gosh, it was like a warehouse sale business going out. And I don't, auction. And I don't believe anybody knew what it was, so we snagged that really cheap. I don't know if we'll ever use it, but it looks cool down here. Okay. My stash of license plates. All kinds of things down here. Tin cans, parts of music instruments, part of a light. I'm sure I can use that at some point. This is like the only rack I have organized. And it's got the dapping and forming tools. And it's below the press. I do have a kiln. That's one of my next areas I want to work on. Because I picked up this cart this summer. So I want to have all the enamels right here with the kiln. Drill press. And then this rack is mostly just materials, license plates, street signs, scrap copper. And then the rolling mill. Let me come back here. So it's like a big square that we've taken over down here in the basement. It used to be mainly in the back there, and it slowly creeps out every few years. There it is, Amuck Studio. It's amazing we find anything down here. Oh yeah, stump. And hammers. One of these days I'll put some leather strapping around there and we'll get all those hammers in place. And back to my bench. I hope you enjoyed my little studio tour. And again, I do work in the basement of my house. I've taken over probably half of the basement now. It didn't start off that way, but slowly. Eventually, I'd love to have a separate studio space that's not attached to the house, but where I'm at right now, that's not possible. I'd love to know where you all do your metalsmithing. Are you in your house, in a basement like I am, or a garage, a guest room? I know I've seen a lot of people do some cool garage conversions into studios. I think that's really neat. But it's just fun to see where everybody works, I think. Do you rent space outside of your home for a studio? And if so, is it with other metalsmiths or a variety of artists? I know when we've traveled to like places like Seattle, there's a lot of group studio spaces that's really interesting that house multiple mediums. I think that's a really neat idea. I'd love for you to leave comments below and tell me where you work. I'm sure everybody else would love to as well. It's fun to see where people set up their studios. Until next week, see you later.